They praised her beauty at first, but when misfortune struck, they blamed her. In Okuta, whispers spread faster than fire. The maiden Zuwaira was no longer admired. They called her a witch. The village of Okuta lay nestled between wide farmlands and the rolling hills of Kuta forest. It was a place where everyone knew everyone, where gossip travelled quicker than the harmattan wind. In this village lived a maiden named Zuwaira, whose beauty became both her blessing and her curse. From childhood, she stood out. Her skin was smooth like river stones washed clean by years of running water. Her eyes carried a softness that made elders pause mid-sentence, and her laughter rang like bells during festival dances. By the time she reached womanhood, the admiration of the villagers had turned into unease. At first, people praised her. The market women would nudge each other and say, "See how the gods favored that child." Hunters returning from the forest often brought her gifts of fresh bushmeat, not because she asked, but because her presence seemed to demand generosity. Young men, too, lined at her family's compound, eager to impress her with tales of bravery or sacks of yam. But beauty, when it shines too brightly, often blinds the eyes of those around. Envy began to creep into the hearts of some women. They whispered that no girl could carry such grace without secret powers. One woman claimed her child fell ill after playing near Zuwaira. Another swore her goat refused to eat because the maiden passed by its tether. Slowly, admiration gave way to suspicion. The whispers grew louder with each passing moon. When a man's marriage crumbled, he blamed it on the way he once gazed at Zuwaira. When a woman miscarried, she muttered that the maiden's shadow had crossed her path. Before long, every misfortune in Okuta seemed to find its way back to her name. Zuwaira herself remained gentle and soft-spoken. She fetched water at the stream like other girls, helped her mother pound yam, and sang while weaving mats. Yet even her songs drew suspicion. "Her voice is too sweet," the villagers said. "Surely she lures spirits with it." Her father, Bako, tried to shield her from the talk. He told the villagers that beauty was not a curse but a gift. He reminded them that their own mothers once praised the child's charm. But words of defense were like water poured on dry ground. They sunk quickly and left no trace. By the time the rains arrived, the village no longer looked at Zuwaira as a maiden. They saw her as a threat. Children were pulled away when she walked by, and young men, once eager to win her heart, now avoided her eyes. Her name was no longer carried with admiration but spoken with fear, as though to say it aloud might bring bad luck. And so, in the heart of Okuta, a girl whose only fault was being too beautiful began to live as though she were cursed. The turning point came during the Yam festival. It was a time of drums, dances, and laughter when the first harvest was shared among all families. That year, the festival began well. Palm wine flowed, children ran about with roasted madge, and elders praised the gods for another season of abundance. But before the celebration could end, calamity struck. One of the chief's sons, a boy named Tajuddin, collapsed in the middle of the dance arena. His body shook violently, and his eyes rolled back. Panic spread like wildfire. Mothers screamed, fathers rushed forward, and the drummers abandoned their drums. In the chaos, an old woman's voice rose above the noise. "It is the work of that girl, Zuwaira," she shouted, pointing a trembling finger. "She bewitched the boy with her eyes. I warned you all, her beauty is not of this world." The crowd turned, and their eyes fell on the maiden standing quietly among the other girls. Some stepped back as if a shadow might burn them. Others muttered curses under their breath. The once joyous festival became a gathering of suspicion. Zuwaira's mother, Hadiza, rushed forward to shield her daughter, but whispers had already turned into angry voices. "Yes, it must be her," one man shouted. "Every trouble in this village started when she grew into a woman." The chief ordered the boy carried away and demanded that Zuwaira be brought before the elders. That night, the council gathered under the moonlight. Torches burned, casting long shadows on the ground, and the villagers filled the square to witness the trial. The elders questioned her. "Did you bewitch the boy?" they asked. "No," she replied softly, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "Do you practice secret charms?" "I know no charms. My only work is helping my mother and tending the farm." "Then why do so many misfortunes follow you?" Zuwaira had no answer. How could she explain that beauty, a gift she never asked for, had become a weapon against her? Tears welled in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Her father spoke for her, reminding the council of her innocence. If beauty is now a crime, then blame the gods who created her, he said firmly. But his words were met with silence. The crowd wanted someone to blame, and Zuwaira was the easiest target. By the end of the night, the elders decreed that she must undergo cleansing by the river priest. If she is truly innocent, they said, the waters will wash away suspicion. If guilty, the river spirits will take her. And so, the girl who had once been the pride of the village was condemned to face the judgment of spirits. The morning of the ritual was heavy with silence. No cock crowed, and even the wine seemed to hold its breath. Villagers gathered along the path leading to the river, whispering prayers or curses, depending on where their hearts leaned. Zuwaira walked slowly, her head covered with a white cloth, her bare feet brushing the dusty earth. Her mother wept quietly beside her, while her father walked ahead, his face dark with sorrow and anger. The river priest, Malam Danlami, led the procession, carrying a calabash filled with sacred herbs. When they reached the river bank, the crowd formed a wide circle. The priest lifted his hands and began to chant, calling on the spirits of water to reveal the truth. He sprinkled herbs into the flowing stream, then motioned for Zuwaira to step forward. The maiden knelt at the edge, her reflection rippling on the surface. The priest handed her a small gourd filled with river water. "Drink," he commanded. She obeyed, and the crowd held its breath. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Her body did not convulse, her eyes did not turn dark, and no spirit rose from the water to claim her. She remained calm, her hands folded in prayer. Still, the people were not satisfied. "Let her bathe fully," someone shouted. Another voice added, "If she comes out alive, then maybe she is innocent." The priest agreed. Zuwaira stepped into the river, the cold water rising to her waist, then to her chest. She dipped beneath the surface and emerged with droplets shining on her skin like diamonds in sunlight. The river flowed peacefully around her, carrying no sign of anger. Yet instead of relief, the villagers murmured in confusion. Some were disappointed, for they had hoped to see her punished. Others grew more fearful, whispering that perhaps her powers were too strong for even the river to expose. Only her father spoke with certainty. "You see," he cried, "the gods have shown she is pure. But envy does not die easily." As Zuwaira stood in the river, the old woman who had accused her first hissed, "If the spirits cannot punish her, then we must. Otherwise, one day she will bring greater destruction." And so the seed of hatred, once sown, grew deeper roots. Though the river had cleared her, the hearts of the people remained clouded. Zuwaira was free, yet not truly free. Little did she know, her greatest trial was still to come. Don't forget to subscribe.